Hey, look, it's showtime, everybody. This is
Yeah.
from Quarantine Show called Bring It In. We're very excited. David Thorpe is here, and there's Dwayne Kennedy, who's making history as our first comedian. How are you, sir?
I'm great. I'm great. How are you?
Good, good. Like, you're in Chicago?
I am in Chi-Town.
Okay, well, get
Yep.
comfortable because I'm about to read your biography. It's got a lot to it. Dwayne Kennedy is a stand-up comedian, actor, and writer. As a producer, he won a 2019 Emmy for the CNN original series United Shades of America. Described as a world-class stand-up by the Village Voice and legendary by the Chicago Tribune, Dwayne is one of the funniest, most thought-provoking, and influential comedians of our time. His satirical diversions and piercing perspective on social and world issues showcase a comedic genius heralded by the likes of Chris Rock and Mark Maron. Winner of the Best Comedian at the 2002 HBO US Comedy Arts Festival in Aspen, Dwayne has performed on The Late Show with David Letterman, Late Night with Conan O'Brien, Jimmy Kimmel Live, The New Negroes, and has both a Comedy Central Presents and Showtime special. Former writer and correspondent of the Chris Rock produced, critically acclaimed FX original series Totally Biased with W. Kamau Bell. Dwayne has also written for the Arsenio Hall Show and the Orlando Jones Show. Your new album is called Who the Hell is Dwayne Kennedy? And it's on Spotify, or there's a website that we will put in the comments from Oakhead Records where they can buy the album. Is that right?
Right, on Bandcamp. Oakhead Records, Bandcamp, yeah, all that stuff. You know, people know our stuff. I don't, but people do.
You've been doing comedy forever, but this album came about, it looks like to me, because some friends of yours made you do it. Is that what happened?
Yeah. Kamau Bell and Hari Kondabolu and Aham Oluo, those cats, particularly Hari and Aham. Hari is a fantastic comedian in his own right. He's spectacular. And Aham is a brilliant everything. This cat's a musician. He's a writer. He wrote, and so he actually produced the album. You know, it was a thing of, you know, they always would tell me, "Hey man, you need to make an album, this and that." And I've tried over the years. I recorded some stuff, and then I don't know, you know, just you think, that's not, I'll do it next time, or that's not good enough, or I'll take care of it later. But they insisted, and then it just happened that I was booked to do a show at the Punchline in San Francisco. This was in 18, and so Aham said, "Well, I'm gonna come down because he's in Seattle. I'm gonna come down. I'm gonna record it, man. We're gonna get this thing started." So that's what happened. So he came down, recorded the whole thing, the you know, the week I was there, and you know, and then it took some time because he was also involved in some other projects. So he was producing it while he was also producing and directing and acting in his movie and all those things. And so now here it is.
Should we watch a little bit? Judy, can you show us that first clip, please?
Who's a serial killer by applause? Just.
Oh, wait, Judy, we lost it.
Who's getting the funny part?
I was gonna like.
Okay,
That's a classic, though. White serial killers. That's, you know, why is that? I think it's because white folks got that work ethic. Why stop at just this neighborhood? You know, if you're gonna do something, do it right. That's what my dad always said. I think two things begat a good serial killer. I think it's not just.
Hold on. Bear with us.
Serial killing equipment that you need. You know, that's why if you ever notice when serial killers get caught, they are a serial killer and then they have another job, I guess, to supply their serial killing. You know what I mean? Cat was a serial killer and also assistant manager at Quiznos, or so he could get all the cereal equipment. You know what I mean? You know, brother might want a serial kill, but he's not working. Like, hey, dog, I'm gonna kill everybody in the city, you know, till my bus pass run out. Hey, dog, can you come pick me up? No, I was out serial killing, and my bus pass ran out. Hey, and can you bring a shovel? And some rope, and some lye, and some tape. Hey, dog, this is like the 4th time this week I done had to come pick you up. Like I told you, if you ain't got the money to be out there serious, you can't be doing like them white boys. Hey, why you stepping on my dream? I'm just a young black psychopath trying to make it. That's from my album, Young Black Psychopath Trying to Make It.
Yeah, wow.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
Well done, Dwayne. How long did it take you to come up with that?
It's been, I've had that bit for some time, but like bits and pieces, and then putting it together. I don't know, man. You know, and this was the thing about them wanting me to record my stuff. It's like, oh man, this is a great bit. This, you know, we like these bits. You should have a record of it. So, yeah.
Oh, it's like a greatest hits kind of thing. They were like collecting their favorite ones of yours.
Yeah, to some degree.
Yeah.
Some of it was. Some of it, you know, just stuff they hadn't even heard before. But some of it was like, man, you got to get these bits recorded. So, all right.
Yeah.
But that, yeah, that's funny. It's brutal. Listening to yourself is like, oh man, I could have did this.
Wait, what do you what are you gonna make better about that joke? Let's edit it right now. Let's do
it. Yeah. Well, I have a whole nother theory I've explored about white serial killers, but I might say that for the next go round. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Color me intrigued.
Huh?
Say it again.
No, I said I have several theories about that.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me about that. Why do you think white folks do more of the serial killing? And I didn't want to get all into it, but I have some ideas. But you know,
actually,
wow.
Let's jump way ahead. I was thinking about asking you, like, we're in a pandemic. I know you talked. You performed right after 9/11. I saw. Can you joke about everything, or are there some things that are just too heavy?
No, I mean you can talk about everything and anything, but then it's just a matter of, is it gonna, if it ends in funny, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then sometimes, you know, it might be what they say too soon,
right?
Yeah.
but just the sooner you talk about something that's that momentous and tragic, it just better be super funny, you know. You know, so you can and you should talk about anything or everything, I think.
Yeah.
You know? And sometimes I don't even, I stay away from things sometimes, or I don't even deal with things sometimes as directly or as openly as I should or as I want to. Sometimes I even kind of pull back, and I'm trying to do that less. So it's always room to grow. I'm trying to be more, you know, but I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to indict people. But I do want to say, you know, speak what I believe is a truth. I don't know if it's the truth. It's my truth.
And people always told you were very funny, like when you were growing up. Did you think you were funny, or was it more other people just always laughing around you?
Yeah. Well, I thought I was funny, and I used to make people laugh. Yeah, that was the essence of it. And I always loved I used to love when I was a kid watching comedy, and man, just seeing people on TV, like, man, that seems fantastic. Just somebody standing there and they can just what does the things they're saying or the way they look and can elicit, that response. So I love that. But
Who'd
yeah,
you
I
watch?
was. Hmm?
Who were you watching? Who'd you like?
Cosby, Pryor, Robert Klein, uh, everybody. Flip Wilson, Moms Mabley, uh, on and on, man. I told somebody the other day I was talking to somebody on the radio and they said, "Who did you like?" And I don't know why I mentioned Steve Landesberg, which I did like Steve Landesberg, and everybody, yeah. I love it just because I think Hicks, and on and on. I could go, but the great thing about comedy is like when you read different philosophers
Mm-hmm.
and they all have disparate points of view, but they all make sense. It's like when you see comedy from different points of view, but they all, like, man, Brian Regan is, man,
Oh, he's very
that
funny.
cat is so funny. I mean, some people are funny, just purely funny, and not even, it's not even trying to be, whatever. People get into, like, I do things that I try to be funny, but also try to say some things sometimes, but I don't want to be, like I said, preaching. But man, there's some people that just, Gaffigan is funny.
That's what I was
Maria
thinking.
Bamford, oh boy. You know Maria Bamford?
I don't.
Oh man, she's brilliant. She just embodies people. She does characters, but you gotta, I love her. Anyway.
But write that down.
Yeah.
Write it down.
Yeah, now
She
I'm
has
trying to think.
she has a Netflix special, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is a basketball show. So I'm going to ask you a couple of quick basketball questions so we can just check the box and justify having you on as a guest. And really, we just have you on as a guest because we think you're hilarious.
Okay.
You are from Chicago.
Yes.
Are you Bulls fan?
Yes. I'm a fan of everything coming out of Chicago. I'm not, and then people say, Chicago, so Bulls, yeah. Bears, yeah. Cubs or Sox, both. Whichever. Yeah.
And are you watching this Michael Jordan thing at all? Michael Jordan documentary?
I have
that
watched, I
everybody's
haven't, I watched, I think the first two or three installments. Yeah. I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen, yeah.
What's your
I have.
review? Let's hear it.
Oh man, those were the days. Whew. That's funny when your team is winning, like, or you think, oh, this is gonna last forever, or not even forever, but even I don't know. I mean, Jordan, of course, was the greatest player of all time, but you still think somehow after he leaves that the organization is going to be able to, just like Krause said, right? Players don't win games, organizations win games. Yeah. Okay, Jerry.
Are you watching the Bulls now? Are you last few years?
Hey,
You watching them?
they suck. I'll watch them again when they're good, man. Just like I want them to do well, but nah. Yeah. And we'll see what happens now that they got that new president of basketball operations and the new general manager. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
You were on Seinfeld.
Yes.
How'd that come about?
I auditioned. I was in LA at the time. I had I was out there trying to get on TV shows. Had done some guest spots on some shows, and this cat. Look, I keep looking at my hair. What the?
Yeah, me too.
I think I got yours with me. No.
Can I please have it back?
I'm holding your hair hostage. Yeah. Yeah. So I auditioned for it and got it. And at the time, like, I had never watched it. I didn't know anything about it. It was a gig, I knew who Jerry Seinfeld was, but I knew who Larry David was. But I didn't know anything about the show. I'd never seen it. And then even after I did the show, which was 91,
Oh,
which
wow.
was, yeah, it was a minute ago. The week we were doing the show, the Gulf War broke out.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, yeah. That's how. Yeah, that's
Who'd you audition for? Who was in the room? Who was in the room when you auditioned?
I auditioned. Who was in the room? Larry David and the casting director Mark Hirschfeld, and I don't think Jerry was there. I can't remember. That might have been it. Maybe some other person. I can't remember. But you know, like moments after I left the audition, they called my manager. Oh, you got it. Oh, that was cool. Yeah.
But
But like you said,
it wasn't really successful when you auditioned, right? It wasn't. Was that like year 2 for them?
yeah. So it wasn't the social cultural phenomenon that it became.
Right.
No, they were waiting for me to leave before that happened. We can't involve you in that. Yeah.
Did you become a fan afterwards of the show?
Well, and I was going to tell you is that, okay, so I did it in 91. I didn't start watching the show until 95 because my girlfriend used to watch, at the time, my girlfriend used to watch the show. So I started watching it because she watched it. And I was like, man, this show's pretty funny. This is a pretty good show.
Yeah.
Wait, Judy, can we play the other clip since you mentioned his girlfriend? Let me think of that. Please. Oh, I can't hear it. Can you guys hear it?
No.
Can't hear it. Hold on.
Where was this at, Dwayne?
Well, this was at the Punchline in San Francisco.
San Francisco, I see it, yeah.
Yeah. I love that club, man.
I'm not sure what's happening. I think we're muted, maybe. Hold on.
Long as it's you all messing up and not me.
Oh, it's us. Oh dear.
That's the other one.
Something's happening. Judy, we couldn't hear that.
What year was that?
Oh no! Hang on.
Oh, can you do it again?
Yep.
Hold on.
Okay, we'll try it again.
You know, if you all need me to, I can stick around for reshoots.
Just,
For
let me
pickup.
tell you something. Your pathological greed and compulsive need for control has been the single most source of pain and misery for people of color throughout this world for generations. But I try not to say things like that anymore. Because I found once you have said something like that to a white person, you almost never get a second date. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Man.
There you go.
Do you normally not listen when you do a show? Do you normally not come back and listen to what you did and edit out, maybe edit, an extra word here or take a word out or something to the next show?
You know what? No, I don't. I used to, and I do record the shows, and then I can't bring myself to listen to the show. But that's not, that's not very productive. But I used to do that. Yes, sit there and listen, and right, like you said, just kind of see what you need to do and what you could add, what you could take out, and oh man, okay.
You're upset about this hair situation.
There's one lock that won't trying to revolt. Okay, here we go. But yeah. So, and I need to actually do that more because I record them, but then like I said, I don't listen, but I need to listen. It's painful, but just got to go through that because then you hear it back like this, like, oh boy, I could have said this, should have done this, should have said that, could have added that, But I treat it like, in some ways, I mean, it's a different era now, but I used to like when, just like with jazz musicians, sometimes they would record the same song on different albums, but it'd be a different version or interpretation. Yeah, I like that with bits when you see them grow. People don't allow for that kind of stuff anymore. Everything is so disposable. Do it once, that's it, done. But even it used to be, even with comedy, sometimes you hear a bit that was done on an album or something, and then somebody would bring it back, but it'd be different. It'd be, so. Anyway.
Yeah. There's a way that what you do is like basketball where there's a performance, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I sort of feel bad. I know some NBA players handle it beautifully, but they screw up, and then the next day the whole team watches the video together of the screw up.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah.
They're tough. Put up with that.
Yeah. Or did you ever hear that story about RG3 when he first came in the league, and same like you said, film session the next game, next week, whatever, and that he told the coach, don't run my bad plays in front of everybody, which kind of gives you an indication where things are headed.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you ever hear that? I
No.
read that.
I didn't hear that, but I get it. And I am a coach, and players will tell me sometimes, well, not even sometimes, frequently, if they feel like they're in the doghouse, the tape is always about their mess ups. And then the players that are more established, who make plenty of mistakes, basketball is a game of mistakes. You miss shots, you turn them all over, you miss an assignment, but the coaches tend not to use them as the examples. And so the young guys just trying to make it, they keep being the feature of the movie after a game, and they're frustrated. It's frustrating. And for guys that sometimes struggle with confidence, which is easy to do in that league, it's the world's best league. That's the last thing they need, is to be told they already know their mistakes. They're professional basketball players. And now you're showing for everyone else. They don't love that.
No, man. No, that can't be good. And I guess in some ways, though, it, not to say weeds out, but those who can endure it kind of forges them, I guess, to, in their careers. Because the difference, I mean, in some ways, right, once you get to that elite level of athleticism, it's not then what you can do physically, it's how you can deal with it mentally and emotionally.
Completely.
Yeah.
But do you have to have a highly paid asshole reminding you of that every day?
Right.
Isn't dealing with your opponents enough? And I'm saying this a little bit as this is terrible that I'm going to make like a dog analogy here, but I was in the airport, we were traveling, and like the best behaved dog I've ever seen in my life was in the giant security line, off leash, just taking voice commands and behaving like sit, whatever, just being charming. And so you're bored in the security line. So I ended up chatting to the owner, and turns out this is a famous dog. It's been on some TV shows and stuff because it's like an obedience champion. And I say this stupid question, which is like, oh, like what kind of training technique do you use? Do you use like the shock collar or the choke collar or like some other one? And she looks at me and she's like, we just use praise. Like when the dog does a good thing, we praise it. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm a total psychopath. I feel like the dog obviously needs to be punished all the time. Like, why does someone have to yell at these basketball players, right? Is that really a thing that has to happen?
You sound a little medieval. What do? You do you use the rack to train them? What is it? Do you stretch them? Do you stretch them?
Well, if you're watching, Dwayne, you haven't seen the most recent Last Dance, but they talk a lot about Jordan's. In fact, Jordan chokes up and asks to break, doesn't want to talk anymore, talking about his demanding personality especially on those Final Bulls teams. And I mean, listen, at work they won 3 straight championships the second time around. But had he been a little bit more of the grandfather type like Tim Duncan, maybe he would have burnt himself out, whatever. I don't think they would have lost. It was his way of doing it. He did a good job of building Pippen up. And that's something that some of these coaches understand. Scottie Pippen didn't need to be beat down anymore. He had a rough life to begin with. Jordan really made a point of always praising him. And look, and it worked. It would have been interesting to see if he did it with everyone else and how that would have worked with everyone else too.
Well, that's like a coach, just like a comedian in a sense. You have to know how to read the room and know who you can say what to and who needs what and how people need to be motivated. Like I said, some people need to be kicked in the butt. Some people like to be kicked in the butt. Some people need to be praised, and so it's different for everybody. I'll tell you something though, man. I'm not basing this on anything, which how I base most things. Knowledge, who needs that? Just want to say stuff like somebody else I know.
Exactly. We're all thinking the same thing.
Yeah. But do you think, man, I think Michael Jordan is just is a phenomenal human being, but I mean, even physiologically, I wonder that like he's so hyper competitive, and like a lot of people are, that I wonder if he actually might have even willed himself to grow.
Whoa.
God.
You know what I mean? But everybody in his family,
Was
his
little.
father,
Smaller.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't he have a brother
Oh, yeah.
who's like what, 4'11"?
He's not 6'6".
No, I don't think he's even 6 foot.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think
That's
he willed
interesting.
himself to grow.
Well,
He
every
did
time
have a sick will, for sure.
I did this story years ago about CRISPR, which is like gene editing. I didn't do the story. I researched it. You know what CRISPR is? It's like they can edit genes. And so the idea is that like, oh, well, you can use this computer, you can go and like dial up whatever, you can fix a disease or have a baby of whatever. But the fact is,
Mhm.
like, almost nothing is determined by
One
a
gene.
gene,
Right.
right? It's a whole bunch of genes, but then it's also genes interacting with a million other factors, right? And there's this whole other field, epigenetics, to study that. And so, like, what you just said, I think maybe 20 years ago, everyone would be like, that's super crazy. And I think now they're like, it could be, like it's not out of the question. It could be, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
With the time we're living in now, everybody's saying crazy stuff. So I said, let me get in and say some crazy stuff. Yeah.
But when you were in
Everybody saying crazy
Chicago,
stuff now? Oh, I got some.
when you were there though, Dwayne, did you know? I was telling Henry this morning, I was a basketball coach while Jordan. He's 2 years and one. He's 2 years and 1 day older than me. So I'm in a sense I'm a contemporary of his. But I was busy building my career in coaching when he was winning all these championships or playing baseball in Chicago. So I didn't live and die with what he did each day. I paid attention. I based a lot of my teaching on his talent offensively, one-on-one stuff. I stole right from Jordan, but I didn't follow the drama part. But you were in Chicago. So what were you thinking about as a young man and a young comedian while this ridiculously incredible athlete was doing his thing on and off the court?
I mean, I was just glad the Bulls were winning. I wasn't so much as invested in the
Right.
players and Michael Jordan is fantastic. Um, Although I'm gonna tell you this, to be honest with you, man, at the time I was thinking, is he that good? I mean, I was because even at the time they said he was the best basketball player in the world. I was like, man, I don't know. And because Dr. J was my guy, like, man, but can he move like Dr. J? But
Yes.
yeah,
Yes,
but
right.
just it's one of those things. You know how it goes. It's like you don't realize what you got till it's over. But it's like, no, man, Bulls gonna be winning forever.
Did you make Bulls jokes back then?
No, not really.
Yeah.
I didn't make a lot of. No. Did I? No. I
I
only
have a
made one joke about somebody who was this Pamplona, Spain, running from the Bulls, and then I made a thing about a Bull player, something. But no, not really.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Dwayne. You mentioned about reading the room. I think it's something that all of us who are professional stand-up comics can even begin to understand that process. What have you ever walked in a room and just known, oh, this is the thing I want to be, or this is going to be a disaster, and why? What was the difference?
You see if it's say if it's a showcase club, and then you see so other comedians have gone up before you, so you kind of see what people are laughing at, what they're responding to, and then about what kind of stuff you do, and it's it's just a feeling. You're like, oh man, maybe I think, oh, it's gonna be a good night, or these people are gonna dig what I do, or you see sometimes people are not laughing at things, or the things that they're laughing at are things you aren't going to bring, that you don't maybe think are funny. It's like, oh boy, it's going to be rough. But sometimes you do that, and you assume, and you can be completely wrong. Like, oh man, this show is going to be great, and you go up there and you eat it. Or you think, oh, this show is going to suck, and you go up there and you eat it. No, and then and it's and it can be good. So yeah, it's just kind of knowing where you're at, kind of knowing the general sensibility of the audience. You know, like there's things you can, again, it's all generalization, but things you might talk about at a room in Brooklyn, at a at a hipster room that you would not talk about, or at a on a doing a one nighter in Lowell, Michigan.
Oh, I thought you
You
were gonna
know,
go Indiana for sure. I was like
thinking
$100.
Nebraska.
He's gonna say Indiana.
I was thinking
or
Nebraska.
Indiana. Yeah, take your
Yeah.
choice. Yeah, yeah. So
You have a,
it's interesting.
you have several jokes that touch on like testosterone, which is a huge topic in what we do. We're always talking about basically if people do dumb things in the NBA, it's because they're young and have a ton of testosterone, which is exactly how you get into the NBA. And you have this joke about basically it's nice to be a little older because you don't have to make those stupid choices anymore. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you try not to. You know, even now though, you know, testosterone will still try to make some suggestions. You're like, oh no, not today, testosterone. You're trying to get us in trouble again, testosterone. You know, but yeah, it's yeah, I guess in some ways it's not even a matter of testosterone. It's as you get older, learning how to manage that. You know, ideally, I'm not. I'm certainly, man. I'm messing up as we speak. But you know what I mean. You try to mess up less or mess up in different ways. You know. Yeah.
Well, then you have this thing about like fear. I think it's there's a story about a shooting at your sister's work. Did that really happen?
Yeah, that really happened.
Yeah. Wow. And were you really there?
Yeah, that was some years ago.
Oh,
Yeah, they had a real estate office and or their company, their realty company. They own property,
yeah.
management company, and yeah, man, middle of the day, young cat started shooting it out, and I feel bad because she really was sitting up in front and near this big picture window, and I wanted to run up there and save her, man, but my legs just wouldn't move, you know. So I just remained hidden in the storage room,
Oof.
hoping everything worked out for everybody up front. But yeah, that happened.
That's terrible. There's a whole other. This is a beautiful longer joke, but you end up with like fear. I think is like is a wonderful influence and a great right, like which is
Yeah.
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, I've always been a fearful person to some degree, you know, trepidatious and tentative and all those things. But sometimes, like I said, that works in your favor. Like, you know, that instance, or now, because we were just talking before the show about the pandemic and everything and being socially isolated. But like I said, the way I've lived my life, I've been preparing for social isolation since I was 9. You know, excessive hand washing and not trusting people. That's a can do. You know what I mean? I got you covered on that one. Yeah.
Do you have
But,
any tips for us, those of us who do leave the house? Like, do you have any?
Yeah, get back soon. Yeah, that's my tip. Man, now you know, same thing. Glove up, mask up. I still see people out there, no gloves and no mask. Woo!
Yeah.
You'll find out. Maybe you won't find out, but man,
Do
look
you
what's
mind
happening
showing
now.
that? There's a picture of a guy wearing a bazooka. Do you know what I'm talking about? I think it's in
Yes, at a Subway.
Yeah.
No,
I think Judy
a
has it here.
sandwich place. He's ordering a Subway
You know
sandwich,
what?
right? Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
This is the scariest thing I've seen in a long time, but also just the funniest because it's so stupid.
Yeah. Steve, oh wow.
I actually
Okay.
read about that. I read about that gun, bazooka, whatever it is, and the person arguing that it's not a very effective weapon because it takes so long in between firings. That's what we're debating. The effectiveness of a bazooka at a Subway sandwich place.
I mean, what is your point? What are you doing? in case COVID comes walking in. There it is. Yeah. Okay.
Sir, we'll
And,
just give you the sandwich, but
yeah, man. And
Right,
then that
right,
goes.
right.
We talk about, you know, white whatever, white entitlement, white privilege. Just to walk. Could a brother walk in a subway with a bazooka? You couldn't even posit the idea of walking into a. You couldn't even say, I'm thinking about walking into a subway with a bazooka.
So a friend of mine told me this. There's research that basically men who don't have sex tend to be violent, especially with guns, because there's like a power thing that goes on. And every time I see one of these protests, this is all I think about is like, oh, these men haven't had sex in a long time. Like that's what's going on here.
You see that cat with the bazooka and say, you need a date.
Not it.
But, yeah. But if you got that, if he's got that picture on his what is that?
Right.
eHarmony profile. I like
I just
long
noticed
walks.
who is serving him.
Yeah, I was noticing that. Yeah.
The picture doesn't show there's probably a mom with a 4-year-old boy 6 feet behind him in line.
Yeah.
Right.
Gotta know what
And then
he's
the
thinking.
cops came in and arrested the cat that was serving him.
Yeah.
That's America for you.
Yeah.
So you're home a lot, Dwayne, like we all are. Is there anything special you're watching that we should be? We're always intrigued with new shows. My parents love to tell me the 15 shows they watch a day. I'm happy to have them alive, but I'm not going to watch their shows. But what do you got?
I mean, probably the same thing everybody else got. Ozark. That's my jam.
That's great.
Yeah, the Zark. And
The Zark.
tried to watch a little of Tiger King, but you know, I saw that was enough. Okay, I get it. Take care. That's another thing, man. Why? What is up with white folks and wild animals and all that crap? What is the deal with that? I'm not saying like you all are the spokespeople. I don't mean like, you know what I mean?
David lives in Florida. David does live in Florida.
That place I think is like 25 minutes away from me. I've never been there. I'm not even sure I've heard of it before. I may have seen a sign once, but I had no idea we had wild animals within 30-minute drive of where I live.
They said that. Have you seen any of the Tiger King at all?
Every episode, yep. Mm-hmm.
I've never
seen. Okay, remember when they said, I saw maybe the first 2 or 3, but the that stat that they gave about there are more wild animals owned in private zoos than there are in the wild.
Yeah.
Right.
What?
More.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's that like, do I have to speak for white people on that one? Can I just say that I think they're crazy too? Is that a?
Yeah, man. You know what? And that's the thing, man. It's not. It's a white thing, but it's a conscious thing. It's a lot of things, you know. And sometimes I feel bad saying, "Let me tell you something." White, you know, but it's curious to me.
No, I do think there is like some people have this like the dude with the bazooka, whatever the hell it is, right? Like his thrill seems to be feeling really powerful, right? Not like, oh, hey, I had a good day at the park with my kids or whatever, right? But no, he needs to feel like he's just dumb. And I think there's something with the tigers like that too, right? There's something where it's like,
I think so.
Like, I don't just have a dog. Oh, no. Like, I got a tiger, right? There's some, I don't totally understand it, but there's definitely like I am so powerful, right?
That's which only like, bespeaks of a profound insecurity or something, man. It's,
Here's a weird thing. I have a friend who's I knew him for years before I knew that he's pretty into guns, and now I'm doing pop psychology on a basketball podcast about my friend. But he's my friend who was bullied in middle school, like pretty bad.
Oh,
And part of me is like, oh, of course he's scared, right? Like, of course he thinks they're coming for him, right?
Yeah. So I get it. Is he walking around with a bazooka at sandwich shops? Though?
I don't think he's doing
it. With a pet tiger?
I don't think he's ever going to do that.
With his tiger? Yeah.
Pretty confidently I can say, no, he's not doing that.
Yeah. And it also, it's not also, I mean, it's not, of course, not just a race thing. People do that. People, like I said, who live in fear and then lash out or overcompensate or whatever they're trying to do, create a bigger, it's like the python or the cobra when it spreads out its hood to make itself bigger, like anything does. So people do that, I guess, as well. This is how ferocious I am. But basically, let me present this front to you so I'm not assailed or attacked or, you know.
So you don't think I'm not having sex?
Oh yeah, yeah.
What's your writing process like? Do you do this? How do you do it? Do you sit down somewhere? Are you just in your head? What's going on?
All of that. Sometimes sit down, think about stuff. A lot of times it's just reacting to things, either in my head, like, oh, seeing something reacting, or conversations, talking and, oh man, I could, sometimes just people say, what do what's your best advice for doing stand-up comedy? I said, well, just try to have funny friends who don't have an interest in doing comedy and hang out with them,
Press record on your phone.
Yeah. That's the best way.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard Seinfeld talk about his writing process and his secret?
No, tell me. Maybe I have. I don't know.
Yeah, you might. Well, I listened to a pod he did once. He wasn't funny, amazingly enough, for hours. He just talked about the business, and basically he said he used to. This is back early on when he first doing clubs. He'd wake up and he'd eat some cereal and he'd watch some TV and he'd do some writing and then he'd go, make a phone call or whatever. There was no process at all, like a lot of us when we were young. And he said one day he got up real early for some reason, went outside to get the newspaper where he lives in, I think, Long Island. And he must have lived in an area where construction workers walked right by where he lived. First thing in the morning with their hat on, their big gulp, he described it, and a lunch pail. And he didn't think anything of it. And he went inside and he ate cereal and watched TV and wrote a few hours here and there, whatever. And then just happened late in the afternoon, he walked back out to get his mail. And he saw the same group coming back, filthy, dirty, exhausted from a day at work. And he said it hit him. He's like, oh, that's what work looks like. And I've not been doing anything like that at all. And he said it really changed him. He woke up in the morning. He went through his process. When it was time for lunch, he took a break for lunch, but he worked until then. And then he listened, like I was asking you before, he listened to his cassette tapes. I'm sure it was very hard to do, like it is for us as a writer when you're editing. It's painstaking to see what you just wrote 20 minutes ago. Like, how did I even come up with something so stupid? I can write it much better. Right. And that's what he did. And then he said his secret was he doesn't understand what comedy conventions are about. He's like, if I was in charge of a comedy convention, I would unfurl a banner that says just work. And I say, that's all there is? Good night, everybody. Chris Rock said that's exactly it. What you guys do is so hard. You make it look easy because we're laughing, but it is a grind, right?
Yeah, it's a process. And it is no fun to eat it on a stage.
I can only imagine.
But as you do it longer, sometimes you learn to compartmentalize that better, or you hopefully see the bigger picture. You can see what's coming down the road, or just based on your past successes, it's easier to endure eating it to some degree. But it still can be, depending on the show, depending on what your intent was, because if your intent was to go up and try some stuff, then the likelihood of eating it might be greater. But if you're trying to do a great show and it doesn't go well, that sucks, man.
Great scorers, Dwayne. Great scorers have a shot. Bernard King, Dwayne Wade, Tim Duncan loved, for example, kind of like a short left wing backboard shot. When nothing else was working, they could try to get that shot. Now, defenses knew that too, and see a bucket go in, and then maybe that gets them going. Do you have is there a go-to story for you or a joke that when you're eating it, as you say, like everyone laughs at this, no matter what the room is, or does that not exist?
I certainly have bits that, pretty much a bulletproof,
Yeah.
But I tell you this though, I'm at sometimes now, depending on, again, the circumstances, but there have been times when I was eating it and just said, you know what, let's just see how bad this can get.
Oh, really?
I've heard that. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, to some degree now, stories I hear about people now, and people are just different, of course, emotionally and psychologically, and some people can endure that more, some can't. I think that, like, I used to hear I heard a story about Bill Hicks, because I mean, he pushed it so far. That cat was, genius. But he was just, an extreme person. Now, so a lot of times they call he'd run the room. He'd run folks out of the room, literally, because of stuff he was talking about or trying. But I heard where sometimes, or maybe, I don't know if this is a regular thing where he did this once, that he, they give you comment cards. The audience somehow had comment cards, and that he saved all the negative comment cards about it. Like, but that's a different, that's how he is or was,
Right.
I mean, I was maybe now, but I'm too psychologically frail for that. I'm already, I've already written myself a negative comment card. I don't need to read yours too, Yeah. But I already suggested that I never appear at this club again.
Is there any night you had as a stand-up that you would, if someone said, what was the best night you ever had just as a stand-up? Is there one that stands out? Like one, maybe it's the first time you killed or whatever. Any one particular one that stands out?
I mean, I have to say, there've been quite a few times. So
That's a good answer.
Yeah, I don't want to. Well, there's been so many times that I can't recall. Yeah, but yeah, there's certainly places you like playing and types of rooms you like to do more than other types
That's
of
what I was
rooms.
going to ask you. Where are some places?
But you know what? I like doing some of these one-nighters in like Michigan and Indiana. You know what I mean? And it's for cats that you would never think. Like I said, sometimes up there in Michigan, I used to call it the meth lab and militia tour, because these pieces, but it'd be good audiences, man. Because I think my sensibility lines up, because I'm kind of I think like a blue collar sensibility to some degree. So I have a kinship with certain types of folks, I mean, these are white folks,
Yeah.
but it's a class of people, So, you know, I'm trying to think of maybe some of the worst shows I've ever had. There've been some, yeah, just dead silence or people suggesting that you find another line of work, but they suggest that while you're on stage. They don't wait for you to get off stage to suggest that.
What do you do with hecklers? Do you engage them?
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that it can be good. I mean, for me, it depends on, again, it depends on the heckler, because some people are doing it to be malicious and to undercut you and to undermine you and to try to whatever they're trying to do. But that is for me rare. A lot of times it's just people just yelling out something,
Right.
They're not trying to sabotage you or anything. And you can roll with that. I like doing that, man. I like crowd work. I like doing that. It just makes things more spontaneous and engaging. I see now when I watch a lot of comedy online, it seems a lot of comedy has started to trend towards people doing crowd work. Like that becomes the set, which I think is kind of cool. And I'm wondering, yeah, I wonder if the reason for that is because of social media now, and there's just people are so inundated with everybody's routines and bits. Now the only way you can sort of even present something new is to present it right there in the moment.
You're creating it right there.
Yeah, creating it in the moment, because everything you do is documented.
Right. So it's almost like improv.
It is. Yeah, it's become improv to a degree, but it's improv in the hands of a stand-up.
Yeah.
I was just talking to somebody about that, because I've seen some improvers do stand-up, and some of them are great, but a lot of times I think they think because they do improv, I do improv, what's the deal doing stand-up? It's just the next, but I've seen some improvers eat it.
It's a totally
I knew about till today.
It's a totally different art. Yeah.
We have a little religion on this show, which is Gerard Hector joins us at the end of the show and asks better questions than we asked during the course of the show. So maybe we should let him.
Oh man!
There he
All
is.
right.
What's up, guys?
Oh, no hair, Gerard. What happened?
No, this is about a week in.
Okay. There you
A
go.
weekend after shaving my head, it'll be then next week after I'll shave again.
Okay.
Dwayne, this is good stuff. So we often hear comedians talk about misery and comedy being sort of intertwined, right? Two sides of the same coin.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder for you, when there is something traumatic or that was particularly miserable that maybe is a personal experience, how do you go through deciding how do I use that now as a form of comedy when I'm on stage? Because I'm sure, of course, part of it is therapy, right? Like it's therapeutic to get to now I can laugh about this, even though 6 months ago, a year ago, it was tragic. What's that like?
Yeah, man. You just you sort of feel when the time is right. Like you said, depending on what the incident is, how deeply you felt about it. Sometimes it's the matter of getting some distance just to be able to objectively look at it and glean it for comedy. Because sometimes if things are so raw and you're still in it, you might not be able to extract humor from it. Sometimes it's a matter of getting distance just to distance yourself. Say if there were other parties involved in the bit you might tell, just so you can kind of give everybody some distance, and maybe the people you're talking about don't know that you're talking about them anymore. Yeah.
But you need them to forget. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. But I've certainly had some things, like you said, and turned it into, I try to do that. I think that's jokes are great. I mean, there are some people who are like, but I like a joke. I like all kinds of things. I mean, sometimes just a clever joke and wordplay is fine, but I like a lot of comedy that has some like an emotional subtext, and just has some weight to it. It doesn't even have to be about politics or race, but just something that has some weight for you. I like that when people are sort of revealing themselves, because I have some jokes, but I think more of I try to bring something out about myself or someone that's just compelling beyond the joke, for me.
Yeah, for sure. One of my favorite comedians is Chris Rock, and Rock's whole bit he does when he's talking about the huge house he has in Alpine, New Jersey, and like what he is and all the black people who live near him, what they do in their career. And the white guy who lives next door to him is a dentist, right? like that was one of my favorite bits ever, because it's just like you can as a black person, you just empathize with that. You're like, yep, that's how this goes.
Right. So because the funny part is not a joke, it's the truth.
Right.
Yeah.
Guys, dentistry is really hard. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah. But now I mean, you talk about just like, man, some joke writers because I was telling you, we were talking earlier, like who I think is a brilliant, Maria Bamford does characters, and there's certainly funny things she says within the character, but man, it's brilliant. But she's a person who what it is theatrical. I like that too, the theater of it. That's why I think I really loved Pryor, and it didn't even hit me until it was like he wasn't just telling jokes, he was doing theater. Pryor was doing one-person shows before they were even called one-person shows. But then you talk about somebody who was like a brilliant, just a joke writer. Cat like Mitch Hedberg, man, was a genius. That cat was a genius, and the way that for me, man, Mitch Hedberg was a cat like his mind was like a prism that broke down light into its elements and like shoot it out in the way you can see light in all of its different, the color spectrum.
What's your favorite Mitch Hedberg joke?
I like the whole bit about the Dufresnes being late for not missing their reservation.
For eating Party of Four.
Yeah, Party of Four. Yeah. I don't know, man. I had to
Yeah.
think about that a minute, but yeah, that's one of my favorite bits of his. But okay, well, Stephen Wright, those kind of
Yeah.
cats. But yeah,
I got a
I
good
like
Stephen Wright one. I didn't know if you like Stephen Wright, but I don't remember jokes great, but he has one really funny one. Do you guys know Stephen Wright? Where okay, you do. But I don't know if Gerard would. He's much younger than us. He was big
Yeah.
for a while. He has one joke. He does a bunch of just really like 1 or 2 line deadpans, Gerard. He has one joke where he says, "This morning I spilled spot remover on my dog. Now he's gone." That's Stephen Wright.
Yeah. His stuff was so surreal, very
Yeah.
surreal,
Yeah.
abstract. I think he was like and then the extension of Stephen Wright was sort of Mitch Hedberg to some degree,
Mhm.
you know. But then it's people who you like who are just grounded in, their misery and their I like that as well. So it's so many I got to put a list together, man, because I always go to talk about comedians on the show, and then I can't think of anybody. Oh, what bit you like? One bit. By that one person? Oh,
Yeah, I'm
boy.
like that. This is how I tell the
Tough.
story now too. Yeah, it's fine. So that thing you said about how you like jokes with something authentic in it, right? Something with like a experience. I
Yeah.
feel like this is why this is why I fell in love with your album, which I'm gonna name drop it again. It's called "Who the Hell is Dwayne Kennedy?" But we were in the car, and in the pandemic, it feels pretty stupid to me to just be like distracted by like cute wordplay or whatever. As much as I like that, but I was like, oh, this is a very real bunch of stuff. Like, and so anyway, thank you for that. I feel like this is why I felt almost desperate, just like let's talk to Dwayne Kennedy because we need to talk about
Okay.
real things right now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Keeping it real.
keeping it real. All right, thank you so much, Gerard, David, Dwayne, Judy. Thank you so everybody. We're back here every 11 a.m. Eastern. Bring it in.
Be safe,
Thanks, guys.
everyone.